Okay, what's going on today, guys? I just wanted to make this quick little video about the 2021 Hyundai I30 or Elantra GT here in the United States because a follower on Instagram tipped me off to the news that Hyundai has recently released over in Europe today, and that is the new refresh, like I said, of the Hyundai I30. So I just kind of wanted to go over that really quickly. So let's go ahead and discuss the refreshed I30, what some of the changes are over in Europe that obviously we won't get here in the United States. But we will end up getting the refreshed design, I am sure. So let's go ahead and discuss some of the changes of the I30. Now in this video, I'm going to be discussing the I30 hatchback in particular because that is the one we get here in the United States. As you can see behind me, this is a 2018 Elantra GT Sport. So that's the model I'm going to be talking about, but there are changes to the I30 fastback and the I30 wagon as well. So if you guys like to check those out, I'll go ahead and leave the Hyundai news article down in the description below. Starting out at the front of the I30 N-Line hatchback, we obviously get new LED headlights. These are LED reflectors instead of LED projectors found previously. I'm assuming they will get LED turn signals on the lower portion of the light. But overall, I really do like the new design of the headlights. We also get a redesigned front bumper with some design cues in the grille, specifically seen on the new Sonata. It's kind of like a catfish grille, as I like to call it. It's not as wide here on the I30 as found on the Sonata. I personally like the smaller, kind of, not as aggressive design language as found on the Sonata here on the I30, but I think they did a good job of incorporating that design language here on the I30, given that this is just a refreshed model. So overall, I definitely like the front bumper. A lot of the similar lines as the current I30 N-Line or I30N. Just a little more aggressive in certain areas. Obviously, the lower side portions and the side vents for the brakes and the aerodynamics are a little bit tweaked as well. They did add a little more black plastic that's not functional as seen previously, but I don't think it detracts too much from the design. And overall, I think the front end looks very good on the refreshed I30 N-Line. As for the back of the I30 hatchback N-Line, we obviously get new LED taillights with that same running light configuration to kind of tie in the whole design language. We also get a new redesigned rear bumper, which adds a bunch more black plastic, which I am not thrilled about at all. I really do not like the rear bumper on the refresh model. You can see they relocated the rear fog lights or rear reflectors here in the United States lower on the bumper. So you kind of get that spot where they were seen before. You can exactly, identify where they sat before on this generation. So that's kind of funny, but those are relocated lower. Of course, you get that silver accent trim along the bottom with some rear diffuser fins that are a little more prominent than before. Obviously, you got that side outlet exhaust, which I'm sure will be a dual exhaust in certain areas of the world. And also they added that little aerodynamic fin on the left and right hand sides of the car that were found on the I30N. I'm not sure overseas if they had that fin on the N-Lines before or not, but here in the United States we did not get that fin on any of our trims, including the N-Line. So it's cool to see that little bumper fin. I'm not sure if that helps aerodynamically or not, but it is definitely cool to see that as well. Now that pretty much wraps up the exterior. Obviously, there are going to be new wheel options and wheel designs, as well as a few new colors for the I30 lineup. So that pretty much wraps up the exterior changes of the N-Line. So let's go ahead and take a look on the interior. As for the interior of the I30 N-Line, there are a few small changes. They aren't really major design changes per se, but they're more to do with technology and adding new features to the interior. So first and foremost, we have the new gauge cluster, which has a 7-inch digital screen in the middle of it. They left the tach on the left side and the fuel and battery voltage or coolant temperature sensor, I can't tell in the picture, on the right hand side. So they have 3 analog gauges surrounding the 7-inch digital cluster, which houses the speedometer and other multifunction settings and stuff like that. As for adding the digital display in the center, I usually like that design quite a lot compared to a full digital cluster in some cars like the G70 in parts of the world. Sometimes those digital clusters can be a little laggy, can be a little just kind of overwhelming. I love analog gauges overall because they're just they show exactly what is happening. There's no lag in the system whatsoever. They're easy to read. So overall, I'm not a fan of full digital gauges, but I like the 7-inch here in the i30. As for the overall design of the gauge cluster, I'm not a huge fan of the boomerang light accents around the outside, and I'm not a huge fan of the shape of the tachometer itself, how it kind of goes, up and around like that. I'm typically more of like an analog guy. I like the small digital screens in the middle where you can adjust settings and stuff like that, but overall I would have preferred a analog speedometer and a tachometer like that. Now, in addition to the gauge cluster, we also get a new 10.25-inch infotainment system. Now, this is the same infotainment system found in a bunch of Kia and Hyundai products currently, so I'm glad it's made its way into the i30 or Elantra GT. And below the screen, it looks like we have a bunch of touch-sensitive menu option buttons or direct access buttons. I'm glad they kept those buttons there. However, I'm not a fan of touch-sensitive buttons within cars. I know Cadillac did it for a long time with their infotainment and climate control systems, and a lot of times the touch-sensitive buttons are not the way to go in my opinion. At least they kept the volume knob there, so that's much easier to adjust the volume. But overall, I really wish, or I would have preferred, hard buttons along the bottom. Now, as for other interior changes, that is pretty much all I see. Obviously, the i30 overseas is going to get a bunch of features that we do not get here in North America, like the power folding mirrors, the heated steering wheel, the the parking sensors front and rear, the camera, surround view vision, a lot of stuff that we just don't get here in North America. I guess Canada should get the heated steering wheel, but we definitely don't get that here in the United States. Now, the refresh i30 also gained some technology in terms of BlueLink and Hyundai Live Service. Live Service is real-time traffic powered by TomTom. Does fuel station, parking spaces, speed cameras, weather. Has online voice recognition, which is cloud-based voice recognition with natural language understanding. And it gets some new BlueLink app services like remote services, Find My Car, Send a Car, POI searches, vehicle alarm notifications and maintenance reports, stuff like that. It gets some new technology like the Hyundai Smart Sense features. It gets new lane following assist, new rear collision avoidance assist, leading vehicle departure alert, blind spot collision avoidance assist, and then the same stuff I had before, which is the front collision avoidance assist with pedestrian detection and now bicycle detection as well. Driver attention warning, high beam assist, intelligent speed limit warning, and lane keeping assist. So that pretty much wraps up the changes for the i30 overseas. Like I said, I'm sure I missed a few things, so the link to the Hyundai Newsroom website will be down in the description below. As for what we will be getting here in the Elantra GT in the United States or in North America, I'm a little unsure what we're going to get out of those features. Obviously, I think we're going to get the new infotainment system. As for getting the digital gauges or digital cluster, I could see either way on that. Sometimes we don't get the digital clusters from overseas, like in the Genesis G70, although that has been rumored to be an option with the refresh of that car. I think there's a good chance that we'll get the digital gauge cluster here in the United States. As for the exterior changes, obviously we're going to get all of those, the new front end and the new rear end as well. One thing to note on the refreshed exterior changes, if you're going to want to do the swap on the i30 PD generation, you're going to need a new front bumper because the headlights are a different shape on the refresh. So to do the front end conversion, I'm sure you're going to need headlights and the front bumper. Fenders and hood looks to be the same. So just note that if you guys are thinking about modifying your PD to look like the new refresh model. As for the back end, the taillights look to be the exact same shape as this generation car, so I wouldn't be surprised down the line, once that car and used parts become available, that you can do the LED taillight swap, probably plug and play, given that this is a refresh and what I've known in the past of Hyundai. So that'll probably be a common mod come 5 years or so when the LED taillights become cheap on the used market. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video of the i30 N-Line refresh, getting my reactions on it and everything like that. Like I said, I probably missed something, so a link to all the information will be down in the description below. So let me know what you guys think of the refresh i30 N-Line down in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up button if you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.